Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Shahili binti Abdullah, number matric 1813766, and today I will present on interpretive plan at National Museum Kuala Lumpur. Interpretive plan are for informal learning institutions, and it serves as a guide for development of a visitor experience through the definition of a major communication goals. It also should connect and guide from all aspects in a museum, from exhibition to programs, classes to marketing, and all functions should embrace the plan and work cohesively and collaboratively to facilitate its realization. Some of these things might not be traditionally imagined as experiential moments as they are. Hence, a good interpretive planning ensures that the key value and experience are accessible to visitors and tourists, and also it serves as a catalyst to facilitate experience and exhibition design that will meet their interpretive goals. Now we'll proceed to the role of a museum. A museum is an institution that conserves collection of artifacts and other objects of scientific, artistic, cultural and historical importance, and makes them available for public viewing through exhibits that may be permanent or temporary. Museums not only used to improve pride and image of a group or country, but the truth is that museums are built in such a way that cultural property and its information can be shared to public, locals and also outsiders, and also should involve in process of unlock the cultural value of a country. Thus, the museum should preserve its location as authentic as possible so that it will benefit to the public. In this study, it will discussing some alternative approach on how to conserve this authentic collection in the museum, and at the same time to upgrading the facilities, the current facilities to a better, so that it can increase visitor experiences and satisfaction upon visiting the museum. Now I will share on the background of National Museum Kuala Lumpur. The National Museum of Malaysia, popularly referred to a Museum Negara, located near to the southern tip of Lake Garden, past the National Art Gallery in Kuala Lumpur. It presents a combination of ethnology and natural history, and unveils the culture and history of Malaysia. The display at Museum Negara is an amalgamation of crafts, weapons, currency, tradition, and culture. This three-story museum comprises of 4 exhibition galleries. Each of them has a different theme. These 2 murals are renowned for their aesthetic appeal. The design of the National Museum of Malaysia is marked by carvings and aesthetic of traditional Malay palace. The National Museum is Malaysia's main museum. It has a large central hall and 2 show sections is the main entrance. There are historical museum, which is one of the gallery of metalwork and musical instruments, art gallery, National Gallery of Sports, and Natural History Gallery. The History Gallery explores the different times of Malaysia's peninsular history.
A set of different aspects of Malaysian culture, from traditional daily pastimes to significant rituals. The National Museum is one of Kuala Lumpur's famous museums and was also known as Rumah Gadang as the Museum Negara in Malay.
So this is the typology of cultural tourists. Number 1 is the purposeful cultural tourists, defined as those people who indicated that the main reason to visit a destination is to learn and experience the culture. Meanwhile, for sightseeing cultural tourists is the person who has less interest in experiencing and more concerned while visiting the cultural landmarks. And then the casual tourist is the people who their culture is less important into their decision to visit that place, and they do not get deeply involved while at the destination. And then the incidental cultural tourists, they are the person who did not consider culture as their main reason to visit, and then at the destination they were superficially involved. And the last one is serendipitous cultural tourists, is that cultural tourism play little or no role in their decision, but once at the destination they have a deep experience. Right now, we'll proceed to the physical resource at National Museum Kuala Lumpur. Physical resource can be defined as a tangible assets that can be seen or touched from a particular site, including buildings, material, manufacturing equipment, and office furniture. The National Museum architecture is quite similar to architecture of Minangkabau. The palace architecture and the essential elements of the contemporary Malaysia shape the context of the National Museum. Also, its structure is more than 109.7 meter long and 15.1 meter wide. It is a 3-story building whose facades incorporate the elements of Malaysian heritage. The tower has an extensive, typical Minangkabau roof, and the main entrance, flanked by 2 massive Italian glass mosaic murals depicting the major historical and cultural events of the state. Move to the cultural resources at National Museum Kuala Lumpur. So the National Museum impressive collection begin in the ground floor, a life-size diorama of ritual weddings, traditional Malaysian life in a kampung environment, and even a Malaysian circumcision ceremony. So on the second floor, a large zoological section with stuffed animals, and it looks vaguely like a lodge. A quite impressive collection of weapons also presented here, including parang, keris, swords, and miniature guns. Through a corridor, visitors will come across to the musical instruments, including sarunai, rebab, rebana, Kelantan drums, Chinese gongs, flutes, and many more. We move to the end overview of the future plan. So museum is a place for learning, socialize, and for entertainment purposes. Visitors want to leave the museum for having a purposefully spend time there. There are several problems that often occur in the museums, which are the visitors are not fully gaining something from their visiting experience. According to that, visitors may lose time reviewing items that do not interest them due to the time restrictions, tiredness, or inevitably occurs during the visit. So, some missing important exhibits and viewing items that visitor is not so much interested may contribute to low visitors' experiences. Therefore, some action should be taken in order to improve the quality of experiences from the visitors through intelligent recommendation that will route visitors inside the museum towards exhibit of interest, minimize the visitors' walking time in the museum, and designed to assist and improve the overall experience of the visitor. Below is some of the recommendation of future plan in National Museum Kuala Lumpur. One is indoor localization system and location-based services. Localization services have become popular and perceived as a multitude of services, making good use of localization systems and made readily available. Indoor localization technologies have been developed to remedy the situation that come into 2 categories, which are: the first rely on the installation of an additional infrastructure, while the second is to exploiting existing infrastructure. In this project, indoor localization are used to capture museum visitors' position, to track their movement through a museum, and issue recommendations on their optimal path through a museum based on the visitor's personal preferences and interests. Number 2 is Mr. Guide Bot. The robot's primary task is to provide interactive tour to visitors in the museum. The robot also enables people all around the world to establish a virtual presence in the museum using a web interface through which they could watch the robot operate and send it to a specific target location. So within the help of Mr. Guide Bot, visitors can gain something and information through the robot. Next, we move to Smart Board or Smart Screen. Digital signage are some of the most innovative platforms for museums through multi-touch experiences and exhibits that can easily entice more visitors and effectively engage and entertain visitors through exploring the digital and interactive content. So its benefits are convenient and interactive to our display, as it can deploy into most of the gadgets. Besides, the smart boards also can make every visit become memorable, as it provides unforgettable experiences that can be shared with anyone. Smartboard also could share information in a more interesting and entertaining way, as its content are more exciting and creative, and then the visitors and audience will pay attention. Next is the scan and read code. The installation of scan and read code serves to improve visitors' ability to quickly and easily pull up the extended information about a physical object by scanning QR code through their own smartphone. The QR code was often placed near to the object label. For example, the Erarta, the largest private museums of contemporary in Russia, does implement the QR code to provide the visitors with more information of the art on a display directly from their phone. So I think the National Museum in Kuala Lumpur also should implement the same as the Erarta Museum. The last one is Museum Smart Apps. This museum tour apps will take visitors to a museum tour around National Museum Kuala Lumpur. By this app, visitors not only see the current exhibits, but also could go behind the scenes into the museum past display. This app also features the graphic plan of the museum and detailed information about all the collections. The visitors also could share their most favorite arts and collections with their friends through social media. So this is the layout of the National Museum Kuala Lumpur, where it shows the overall view of this museum from upper view. From this layout, visitors can understand the flow of visitors track and the future plan at the National Museum Kuala Lumpur. The figure below show the layout plan in the museum and the visitors track in the museum. Now we are reaching the end of the slide. So as for conclusion, among suggested approach are indoor localization systems, smart screen, robotic guide, scan and read code, and museum tour apps. Thus, the modern ICT is one of the vital tool and adaptive guide to increase visitors' experience while visiting a cultural and heritage sites in Malaysia. Within the aid of technology, somehow it will benefit the visitors to learn comprehensively on the museum's collection. Hopefully, there will be another renovation and upgrading activity in the future to make sure that the museum tourism will be run smoothly and could benefit other people as well. So that's all from my presentation today. Thank you so much for watching, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.